Hi again, everyone. Scottiplier PopCultFan here, and I am going to be doing my review of the Crash movie, which came out back in 2017. I know that it was like in production, I think like 2016, 2015, 2016, and then it came out in video, like virtual video on demand, 2017. So this movie is like 7 years old. Yeah. And you know, it's one of the lesser films in AnnaSophia Robb's filmography, not gonna lie. I mean, it's about the stock market. It's about the stock market and, you know, how a virus kind of, you know, makes everything go awry in the bank industry all around the world. And it's just not a topic that interests me that much, which is why this isn't really my cup of tea, this movie. And also, another thing about this movie is that it has a surprisingly short runtime. And as a result of that, the pacing is just a little all over the place, if you ask me. There are times that it feels like it's slow pace, and then there's times that it's just going at this pace where it's just hard to follow everything because it's all happening so quickly because of that short runtime. And there's also some weird editing choices throughout this film, and I think the score is good, and I do like some of the performances, but not all of them. Like, a lot of these characters in this movie just don't have a lot to them. Like, especially a couple of the people that, you know, are following Guy, played by Frank Grillo, like his crew, like some of those actors there just don't have much to them at all. I mean, I liked John Leguizamo in this movie because he was a bit of the comic relief, and there's this one scene that he has with Dianna Agron's character, and that's pretty much it in regards to developing that character as well as her character, and there just wasn't much to those characters either. You know, both John Leguizamo and Dianna Agron, they just didn't have much to them, and Dianna Agron's character just felt like a pretty face in this film. And this is probably one of my least favorite films in AnnaSophia Robb's filmography, because even she, I mean, she's not, I mean, her character doesn't have that big of a role in this film. Her character isn't that important aside from being Guy's daughter, which is that name, by the way. Frank Grillo's character is named Guy. Guy, that's his name. Okay. And then also, just for the sheer fact that the story is just not that interesting to me, just kind of brings this movie down a few pegs for me. I mean, I like the cast, don't get me wrong. I like a lot of the cast. You know, Frank Grillo, his character is probably the most fleshed out, but at the same time, it's just Frank Grillo being Frank Grillo, because I've seen him in movies before, in the Purge movies and in the Captain America movies. I think he's a great actor, but, you know, I feel like most of his performances are very similar, and this movie no exception. And that's part of the reason why, like, AnnaSophia Robb's character in this movie, she's just there to help amplify Frank Grillo's performance and help me sympathize with him more. And also, you know, her boyfriend in this movie, Ben, who is part of Guy's crew, he does some things in this movie that kind of, you know, that causes problems. And they use him as like the love interest to AnnaSophia Robb's character, and that's another reason why this is one of my lesser films in her filmography, just for the sheer fact that she's just doesn't have much to do in this film, and there's just not a lot to her character either. But there is this really sweet moment between her and her dad, Frank Grillo, and the mom. There's this really sweet moment after Ben breaks up with her, with all three of them as a family. It was really sweet. But yeah, overall, it just wasn't that great of a film to me. I mean, in regards to Dianna Agron, you know, I've talked about this before in the past. I'll talk about it after I give my grade for this movie, but yeah, it's not great. It's not great. I mean, I have seen worse movies. I have, but it's still not that big of a bar in regards to the quality of this film. I just don't think it's that great, and it's just not that interesting to me either, the plot. I guess in a way it's sort of a heist movie, but everyone's on, like the crew of that guy has working for him, they're all trying to basically help hijack the stock market and, you know, save it by the end. Question mark. I think that's what was going on at the end. And, you know, because that's how the banks run, right? The banks are basically run by the stock market system, and trying to think here. This is a topic I'm not too knowledgeable of, so pardon me if I don't know a whole lot about this. But yeah, in the third act, there's this whole virus that infects computers and things like that, and it infects the banks, and they're all frozen, and no one can withdraw money, and that kind of thing just starts to erupt and create protests around the world, which, you know, kind of, you know, you talk about things like the Great Depression, similar things like that from history, and this movie sort of tackles that a little bit in regards to real world issues, and I do like it for that, but it's just not a topic I'm not very knowledgeable of. So, and it's funny. There was this one line of dialogue from Frank Grillo's character about his daughter, you know, AnnaSophia Robb's character, and she doesn't care about any of this. And that's kind of me watching this movie. I don't really care about any of this either. But yeah, so not a great film. If I had to give this a grade, I'd probably give it, I think I'd give it a C. Yeah, I'd give it a C. That'd be my grade for it. So yeah, talk about Dianna Agron. She grew up in the city I'm living in now. Dianna Agron grew up in this area where I'm living now. She went to my dad's middle school, and she's one of my dad's former students. Because my dad, a long while back, you know, before, when he was still around, my dad was a teacher. He taught 6th, 7th, and 8th grade math and statistics, and I'm assuming that was one of the classes that my dad taught Dianna Agron in, either math or statistics, I'm not sure, but it was before my time. Well, not before, I think I was maybe like a baby or maybe really young when Dianna Agron was a student at my dad's school. So that's another reason why, like, when I first heard about this movie, it made me think that, you know, Dianna Agron is in a movie with AnnaSophia Robb, and AnnaSophia Robb is my celebrity crush. Like, holy crud. I mean, I think that's hitting a little too home for me, because I have a personal connection with Dianna Agron. So in that way, I always felt like there was this indirect connection between my life and AnnaSophia Robb. I always had that notion in my head for years, and that's part of the reason why I tried so hard to reach out to AnnaSophia Robb, which was what led to me getting scammed. So, a bit of a history there with that. And I, you know, speaking of this movie in regards to performances, I like Frank Grillo's performance, and despite AnnaSophia Robb's character not having a whole lot to her in this film, she does give a good performance with what she's given. So yeah, and also I don't like that Dianna Agron's character was just a pretty face in this film while also knowing about computers. I have yet to watch Glee. I have yet to watch Glee. And I have seen I Am Number 4, which came out the same year as Soul Surfer. And that was when I first found out about Dianna Agron being one of my dad's former students when that movie came out. So, yeah, those are all my thoughts about that. My grade for The Crash is a C. I would be more positive about this movie, but it just wasn't that interesting to me in regards to the story. But yeah, those are all my thoughts about all of this. That's why this movie, even though it's not great, has this weird personal connection for me in regards to Dianna Agron and AnnaSophia Robb. So there's all that. And yeah, one more thing before I end this. John Leguizamo, he played Luigi in that old Mario 90s movie. And you know, I've seen him in a couple other things before. John Leguizamo was in the Violent Night movie with David Harbour, and he also voiced a character in the Ice Age movies, so I know him. He was a fun character in this film. He was in a wheelchair in this movie too, so he was fun, even though there wasn't a whole lot to him. But yeah, so those are all my thoughts in my review of The Crash. This is a thriller. Yeah, it's a thriller. So the next movie I'll be reviewing is Rebel Ridge tomorrow, and that movie is a thriller too, but it's also an action film. So I am really excited for Rebel Ridge. I cannot wait to give my review for that. So yes, thank you all so much for watching. Take care and peace.